Alrighty, Doc here from North America. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. It's the last month of the year, so here we are, Deck, that's right, Christmas one. That's what we used to call it on the trading floor, Christmas. You know, with all the screaming and yelling, you had 1,000 people standing around screaming and yelling in different places. So you had to, was 4th of July, the 4th for July, Rocktober for October, things like that, trying to clarify things. Christmas, what was the other ones? New Year's was January, and so forth. So here we are, Christmas one, just 4 or 5 weeks, I guess 4+ weeks to the end of the month now, and it'll be very interesting. Mr. Powell made it very clear yesterday in testimony that transitory is gone from his vocabulary. Hooray for him! And we just laughed at that when he came out with it back in June and July of it was June of last year, this year. I'm sorry, June of this year. Transitory. It just shows you how overwhelmingly they are watched. To the point where they can't even say a clear word that describes the issue that's going on at the time. They have to come up with something like, there we go, we're trying to tune into the chat line to see if there's anybody there. And that's pretty much the freak out of it all, really. They make up words and expressions because they don't have the confidence that they can talk about adult conversation of finance. In other words, the finance has to be kind of dumbed down and made unscary, I guess. Make it less scary. Something like that. Anyway, as you can see this morning, there it is. Oh no, I thought I had that. There, you can see on the Chicago Quant right there. You can see the Swiss is moving back up a little bit. Got a phone call yesterday from someone in the political arena that said to me, "Are you worried about our dollar?" I said, "No, we're an island." I said, "Everybody else is broke." I said, "There's not much to have to worry about." I said, "We're 25% of this and we're 25% of that of the world." And I said, "So, honestly, why would I be that worried about the dollar? I mean, they're going to devalue it." Like, I don't know. What do you mean devalue it? So, and the end result is that you can see there this morning the Swiss is still moving down with the hinkies, but look at that white line down at the bottom. As we take a sip of our tea there. Right there, as you can see, it's making the little bounce, and it's down at the low end of the range. And the same situation going on with Chicago Quant right there. Same game. We're still in that weekly buy right there. I guess it's going to battle its way back up to that line there. That range that they seem to have played with for so long. And I would think, just because now that Mr. Powell has shown to be the adult in the room of finance, took a while for him to jump back into that position solely because of, they had to appoint him again. And the president was not sure if he wanted to appoint him again, and there was that type of garbage going on, And and the end result is that he's appointed now. He will pass, and now he can be more responsible. And just that alone makes everybody feel a little bit happier in the sense of, wow, someone's actually watching what everything is doing, what everybody's doing. In other words, watching in a good way, not a bad way, not like, a peeping Tom way. He's actually paying attention, and maybe he's going to tighten up all this flow of cash and reduce the inflation. Now, inflation in the States here, which then bleeds into the world, is can be controlled. Mr. Trump really showed what good business sense can do in government. He turned our economy around. Mr. Obama was calling it the new normal, where we would never see. I think he said, Mr. Obama said we would probably never see 3% again in anybody's lifetime. He said that might be a historical thing, where we just don't. Mr. Trump just cranked it up and showed that government is the problem, not the answer or the solution. And so, I have no worry whatsoever that we're going to see a lot more reduction in inflation, and the channels that the currency seem to be traveling along probably would be the last to change when it comes to that whole situation. So in other words, what situation is that? It seems like for the last couple of years they're trading in a channel or a range, an envelope, whatever you want to call it. And I would assume the very last thing to complete itself will be that. So in other words, first they'll slowly move towards, reducing the amount of money they create every month to plow into the economies. And then that'll probably slowly dissipate, and then you'll probably start to see Europe kind of inch its way into plus territory. They'll move a little bit further away from the socialism. And then, and you'll see people actually getting paid interest on the money that they invest in government bonds. That'll be the next step. And then from there, I'm just guessing. I would think that the path that will be from there is still stability. And so what would be the last of the stabilities to leave us? Probably the currency ones, where they try to keep everything kind of balanced so we don't see different currencies, the major currencies or the responsible governments, I guess you could call it, flying all over the place. And that's probably like the last. And then from there, I'd imagine over the years and decades, they'll slowly unwind all the buying that they did. And I'm taking in consideration that we're moving into a new political era where responsible people are moved back into government service. Whereas we've gone a long, long time with Barney Frank and the rest of them, where they were just throwing money like spaghetti against the wall and just thinking that it was going to help everybody. And in fact, they learned that it did not help everybody. All right. One more sip of my tea. Where are we at here? Oh yeah, it's a Swiss right there. And what we're going to do is we're going to switch over to the euro. Right there. There it is. On J4X now. Right there. There you go. Now you can see here on the Chicago Quant, boy, that T went down well. On the Chicago Quant, you see it's aiming down, so it's trying to break down a little bit. Maybe it's going to come back down to this little blue line there. We'll see. The weekly is turning, but not with any real strength. You can see over here on J4X, same situation. It's trying to curve, just like right there, and heading for that, three-dimensional zero line there, which is the dashed yellow line there. All right, and that's pretty much the name of the game, I would say. They start to do that. I mean, they can go slow and steady. They don't have to be like maniacs, They really don't. They just kind of, how do I describe it? Mr. Powell can talk like, okay, we're gonna do this or we're gonna do that, and the markets will, kind of feel more comfortable. I went through the 70s and the 80s with the Federal Reserve. In the beginning when I started off on the trading floors, and all they really wanted was a very responsible Federal Reserve, someone that showed that they were, paying attention and not, observing, paying attention, and helping out. That was pretty much the name of the game. So we may be moving into that at the same time. We'll know over the next couple of months, but I think we are heading in that type of era, and we're going to be moving into a very, very competent U.S. government as time moves on, because you've seen the bottom of irresponsibility, Mr. Biden in there. So it's just pushing the whole country into a much more like, we got to pay attention to our politicians. You can't let people like that have control. That's the attitude we're seeing all over the country right now. The polls are so dramatic. We've never seen a president so unpopular in the Democrat Party ever like this. Never. So, and they control the media. If they can't, keep this guy pumped up, nothing can. All right. One of the interesting things, I guess, from yesterday's action was the way the cable fell back to the daily sell. It was playing with the daily buy throughout the day. And there it is there. You can see, look at all that red. Still in the red. Now you can see the line busted through here. Let's check it out over on Chicago. Right there. Got very close. Look at that. I guess we can move it down like that a little bit. Move it up a little bit like that. And at one point we had a little green line in there saying, okay, if they close it like that, it's going to go into the daily buy. But then, the weekly showed that it didn't really want to climb. It's trying, it's curving, and the histogram's moving up a little bit, but nothing major. And sure enough, they found a way to knock it back down again. It's more of a sideways chop. Obviously, look at the way it hit the that fib area that we talk about, the 130, basically the 132. I mean, it almost hit it like clockwork. I mean, the low yesterday was 131.19. I guess it was 319.48, and we've been watching 319.17. I mean, can't get much closer than that. And so you would think that will start to turn up the way it hit that. It's the bottom end of the range, so we're watching, and we'll see. But that level of responsibility by the Federal Reserve yesterday of just removing that foolish concept of transitory and showing that at the same time talking about tapering more, or let's put it this way, tapering months ahead of time is a real good thing. And markets like predictability, markets like continuity, and they like adult supervision. Yo, middle age, what's happening? I'm late again, Doc. Could you? Sure, no problem at all. Easy peasy, brother. Easy peasy. So we were talking about that, whereas you can see here, this is a good example. The cable, was showing that buy signal and failed at it yesterday. Went down and touched that black line. Now, check out Euro. We're going to throw it back up on both charts here for you. There's the Euro on the J4X. It's, it's still holding up, but when you see it over on Chicago Quant, you can see that it's starting to roll over, which, as I was rambling about a little, and everybody's heard me so far, is that basically Mr. Powell really showed a lot of responsibility yesterday, and that's really important, and that's, that's pretty much the name of the game. Can we look at cable? 1 hour? Sure. So yeah, that was a real important factor, is that responsibility level by Mr. Powell yesterday. Yeah. And I didn't delete that baby. I keep it here. So let's activate it. There it is. That's the minute. That's the 1 minute. You can see that right there. That's the 1 minute. Let's put the 1 hour up there. There we are. Bada boom. Right there. Bada bing. The 1 hour. There you go. Now, that's interesting. Yesterday, look at that. They knocked that thing down on that news, Mr. Powell doing his thing, and then slowly climbing back up again. And went down to our number that we look at on the daily. So, that's interesting action. And I would hope, I guess your minute, let's go take a look at your 15 minute. Let's see what the 15 minute did yesterday. What time was that? That was between 10 and 11, right? So let's see yesterday, see what the 15 minute did. I hope it kept you honest, kept you out of that slide-a-roo. There we are. There's the 15 minute. Yeah, I can see that. It was at the top end of the range to start off with, right there. And let's widen the Chicago quant too. I want to see how it looks in there. Let's see. Let's just go like that. Let's move this up a little bit more, like so. There we go. And go like that. Widen it out more. There we go. So we went into the sell on that one right there. Boy, that must have been in seconds, you know. Oh no, that was 15 minutes. Okay. Yeah, and then so it did the same thing here. It broke down. You see that right there. And you know, obviously our work, we knew that there was issues, and then they slammed it. And I hope you were not long bottom fishing again. Gotta let these things close. I was focusing on the 1 hour Stoke this session when it dipped into the overbought zone. Okay. All right. And let's get that 1 hour back up there again. There we go. Yeah, it was trying to climb back up again. Even my work was doing that. See that right there? But I don't follow hourly, so you know, to me, it's I'm a Tesla type guy, so I do like, you know, the 369 or 396 or the 96 or the 39, things like that. You know, I follow those things. I don't do minutes. So in other words, let's give you an example of let's see, instrument settings 396 contracts or ticks. Anyway. And we'll show you the difference. Spatial math and time versus Newtonian. So yesterday at 11:12, right? I think we have to add more bars back. Yeah. There we go. Let's see what that does. There we are. Whoa, right on the edge. Huh? Alright, so let's just add another 50 bars or something like that. And this is the difference between minutes versus, you know, what I like to refer to as Newtonian time versus spatial time. We're one of the only people in the world that probably talk about that. I could honestly say in the world. Let's see, right here, what was that, 10 to 11, right? So, let's see, we're almost there. Okay, so there's 10. So you had this, and see how it's starting to fail here. Now, yeah, see the difference using this with spatial time? This is so much more accurate compared to minutes. Now, let's do this, let's widen that a little bit more, like that. So you can see here it pops up, but I got a red dot, so there's no way in the world I even consider that. And then you can see, so it basically goes into the cell right here and stays into the cell for that whole move. And then the bounce, you can see we start to play, there's the volatility signal, and a little strength, and then basically strength all the way along. See the difference between like minute, 15 minute, hour? Spatial is so much better, Jordan. It's you know, go with the Tesla numbers, you know, 396, 369, you know, 96, 69, 39, 93, you know, and then you can even take the 396, double it, you know, you can triple it, you know, you can do that to it. It's so much better. So try to move away from that old-fashioned time concept, because it's just way behind the curve. Look at this here. You can see it there. You know, just using the fast stochastic with the RSI. it jumps across it much more cleaner. It shows way more accuracy. Let's see where it's at right now. See, it's breaking down. It's been broken down for 3 bars. There we go. Nice. It's nice to have somebody asking questions about the short term. This Doc is, got lots of opinions on the short term. Heading for that cup of tea, just to wait for Jordan to say something about conventional time versus the spatial time. Okay, we'll let him work it out. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to drift over to the Turkish Lira. And let me just throw that hourly in there. It's a lot easier to leave it an hourly in there. It doesn't have to think too hard to find it. All right, there we go. Now let's take a look at Turkish Lira right there. You see we've made another new high today. We knew that sucker was trying to aim in that way, and it was like, you could see yesterday the euro versus the Turkish Lira was battling its way up. We closed in the daily buy yesterday, right there. Let's put that little line in there again. Matter of fact, I don't think we put a red line in, do we? Let's steal a red line from here. Right there. And let's just do a save, like so. Now let's take a look at it with the euro against the Turkish Lira, and let's put that up on the J4X too at the same time. Yeah, I'm not sure what spatial time is. It's something I invented. I invented that back in 1977, the deal with the Higgs boson. So what it is that it makes time, you're measuring time in a rate of change, and the rate and it's not fixed. So in other words, it's not static. When we're trading, spatial time is so much more accurate. In other words, because it's encompassing the volatility and the action itself to the product. Whereas when you go to like hourly or 15-minute or 1 minute, they're all identical no matter what, and it misses the volatility or the action or the way things are moving. So you can use contracts or ticks on your chart, and not and use the Tesla numbers and those frequencies, and compared to the old-fashioned 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, 15 minute, hour, whatever, 2 hour, 4 hour. I mean, it is interesting to see a 4 hour because it's like you're breaking the day up into 6 slices, 6 tranches. But overall, spatial time is so much more accurate, and that's spatial time. Like I said, is a rate of change to the action of the moment. And time is important because without the accurate level of time, you get false results. You get false results. So that's spatial time. I call it that. I don't know if let me Google that spatial time. See what it says with Google. Most of the time, I try to Google some of the things I've created, and they go, "Oh, there is no such thing," or Wikipedia will go like, "Oh, there is no such thing." It's like, yes, there is. I've made hundreds of millions on it. Yeah, it's real. Let's see. Spatial time. Let's see what it says on Google for that. Spatial. So, what's so spatial about spatial time? Aha! Parenting. Oh, okay, good. They're talking about parenting. Spatial time, building connections in minutes. In spatial time, you set aside some time from 3 minutes to an hour. See, they don't even talk about the rate of change Let's see, what else can we see here? Spatial time of year. Disney Channel. Great. Cartoons. All right, spatial time, also known as child-directed play. Yeah, you're right, Jordan. There's no, I don't know. There's nothing out there. What does spatial time mean? Definition. Example: spatial time in sentences. It was like that a lot. You had Madonna and Sean Penn walking in Barbara Streisand. Oh my God. Let's see. Spatial time synonym. Meaning. Let's try one. Let's hit that one. What does spatial time mean in definition? Here are the possible meanings. Oh, that's a good one. Possible meanings. It's a translation of a word, spatial time. Did you actually mean speculation? Yeah, so Doc created this thing like back in 1977 to deal with the Higgs boson at the time. So I talk about it all the time. No wonder everybody just looks at me and doesn't know what to say, because I never really think about it. Every time I talk about spatial time, people probably are just going, what the? Sure, just to smile and act like he knows what he's talking about. Yeah, I'm not sure what spatial time is. Was looking for euro dollar. Looks like a buy. Oh, well, I think we looked at the daily for Middle Ages a few seconds ago. So let's just take a look at that. Actually, our work is rolling over. The spatial math is disappearing on us. So it's trying to roll over, not lift up. We'll see. It's still in the daily buy for the last couple of days since this crazy Friday. But we're in the weekly sell now since where is it? Since back in here. So I don't know about thinking that it wants to go anywhere. That bounce might be done. All right, let me go just take a look at the euro against the Turkish lira. But any questions, fire them out, traders. Doc is ready to respond. Yeah, so yesterday they made an all-time high in the euro Turkish lira, and they're doing it again today. So I thought that, I remember seeing that. It was very close to doing it at the time, or it was doing it during the webinar yesterday. I was like, this has got some guts to it. Like I said, I'm convinced that this has something to do with trying to appease the European Union more than anything else, than devaluing the assets in Turkey. Thinking out aloud. Sure, I love that. I do it all day long. If the U.S. dollar goes bearish weak, which one would move first, the euro or the GBP? That's a good question. We've seen traditionally the last year and a half, it's been the cable, it's been the British pound. The euro for a long while was truly the best product. Now I remember I used to start the webinars off with the euro against the dollar, but now I'm using the Swiss against the dollar, because the Swiss has taken that spot where it seems to be the leader. So out of those two, I take the cable, and then out of the choice between the Swiss or the cable, I take the Swiss. I hope that answers your question. And when it changes, I'll spot it too, and we'll be traveling in that direction. Because like right here, there's the Swiss right there. You can see this thing is trying to lift up pretty aggressively. In the case of the cable, it never, it tried to get up into the buy yesterday and then rolled over altogether. So interesting, very interesting. All right. And there we go. So from here we go over to Canada. Let's see what they're doing with the Canada today. Oh, Canada. All right, there it is. You can see Canadian is picking up a little strength against the dollar there today. Not too bad. A little volatility signal there. Maybe the adult supervision now by the Federal Reserve is making it a little bit more palatable for a lot of people. We'll see. We're still in that weekly buy here, so it's a lot of strength. Maybe it'll just do this and hesitate for a day or two and then turn back up again. We'll see. We will follow it and we shall see. Seek and you shall find. Now, because the Canadian is just a teeny weeny little weaker, we'd have to assume that oil is a teeny weeny little stronger. So gold and crude should be moving up. So let's take a look at that. Let's see. Let me see. Let's put it over here. Let's take a look at crude over on J4X. Right there. Light sweet Texas tea. And let's take a look at it over here. And there it is right there. The January contract moving up. You can see this thing's doing its little bounce there. So the Canadian is doing its thing the same way. And we'll be seeing this change direction, but you can see the white line is already turning up. We'll see the hinky get greenish over the next hour or two, probably the next 2.5 hours at this action. All right, and then let's take a look at gold right there. And there it is, Feb gold. And you can see there, same situation. It's trying to bounce up. You can see the little green line right there trying to lift. We're still in that weekly buy. It just refuses to give up, which is curious in its own right. And you can see that upwardly curve right there on the J4X. So that is the action that we're starting to see here a little bit. Now we just need the bottom. Matter of fact, let me just squeeze this out a little bit. Yeah, see, looking back longer, you know, they kind of didn't take out the lows. If this thing starts to turn up and takes out these highs, that could be very positive action there. I think Mr. Powell has calmed everything down now. That we're probably not going to see that stuff. All right, from there we jump back over to the South African Rand. We would think that that would be aiming down a little bit. Let's take a look and see. A responsible Federal Reserve can definitely put a little charge into everything on the planet. And let's put it over here too at the same time. Right there. Yeah, look at that. It's doing the same thing, making a nice little move back down again, out of the 16s back down into the high 15s. And the weekly is, which has been in a weekly buy since the first week of October, last week of September. Starting to curve a little bit. Nice to see how far it goes. And we got what did that close on the daily sell yesterday? Almost made it into the daily sell yesterday, but today it is definitely underneath it. Indeed. Yeah, look at that. Driving down on the J4X. 2 red hinkies. So we're seeing some interesting action there. Indeed. All right, I think I've earned another sip of my tea. There we go. All right, now over here on the J4X, we're going to go to the ruble. Ruble made it into a daily sell yesterday. I thought that was a very positive thing, you know, for the world in general. Right there. Yeah, so what's that? Oh, is that the third day? Let's see. Yeah, so this is the third day. We're in the third day now of the sell. I'd like to see that weekly get turned down too. You can see it there. 3 hinkies. Red, wine. And then breaking down. So, I think it's always nice to see the world functioning on a much better basis of less crazy and more responsibility. All right, let's check out. From there we go to the Japanese yen. That's about the best product to look for in Asia. Because I mean, the yuan doesn't make any sense. The Chinese yuan. Really wish it did make sense. Like, someday, but not, or some year maybe, not this year. Let's put it that way. And let's put it up over here at the same time, right there. And you can see it's starting to get pushed back up. Dollar is showing strength there. A couple weeks in the sell. You know, it's funny. The Swiss looks the same exact way. The British pound looks the same exact way. The pattern. Look at the Swiss. Same type of pattern. They're all moving in that sliding direction of the dollar getting firmer again. And then last but not least, we'll look at the peso. And I imagine peso will be following the rest of the gang here, moving down. Yep. Look at that. Playing with the daily sell today. Maybe it'll fall back inside this range right here. Close by. Peso right there. There we go. So you can see out of the basically, is it the 9 currency pairs that we chase after every day? We look at. You know, they're all starting to show signs that the dollar is firming up again, and that's again, you know, not to beat a dead horse, but you know, what it really comes down to is a lot more responsibility being shown by the Federal Reserve over the last 24 hours, which is hooray for us, you know. All right. Let's see now. Let's jump over to, where do we go from here? Oh, we go to the metals complex now. So I wanted to show you something on the silver and the gold. I was noticing something here, and let's see. No, there it is. Let's put it there. Nope, that's gold. So let's do silver. And the silver seems to be doing some type of big, giant head and shoulders reversal. Let me see where I can find it. Right there. There we go. And let's contract that. Yeah. Look at that. So in essence, basically is... Whoop. Let's put the little line in there. So basically, see? So there's the head. Did the reverse head and shoulders with a higher shoulder. And now if this thing supports this area and starts to turn up, you know, you're going to see better than 26. I think we'll see 27. I don't know if we're going to challenge 28, but, you know, this is a good chance if this thing can hold up. You can see our work here is trying. It is trying. If we can get into a weekly buy, that would be a nice thing. Get that weekly buy and zoom, baby, zoom. Hey, there's middle age. I am beyond frustrated with gold and silver. Ugh, no, you're not frustrated. I'm frustrated. We're both frustrated. It's ridiculous, I know. But I'm still going to hold my March calls. You know, I'm looking at this, and this could be a big bottom. You might want to binary those things. Sell some calls above it, you know, like turn it into like a butterfly or something, you know, or a trapezoid. You know, your long, you know, the lower ones, right? Go sell a bunch of the top ones and then buy on top of that. You know, so buy, sell, buy. So in other words, if you're long 3 calls, sell 6 up higher. And then they can be the same strike or spread them out. Trapezoids spread them out. Butterflies usually are the same. And then go above that, same distance from the strike, and buy, or maybe even a little bit higher, and go, you know, buy the way up higher to protect the 6 that you sell. And binary it. And then from there, you know, it'll decay. You won't have much pressure. And if they turn this thing up, you know how they'd like to do that in January, February? If they do that, you know, you'll catch it. And your options won't be like, you know, melt like ice cream, you know? Because this thing, there's one thing that you can pretty much take to the bank, and that is that the central banks are not going to let the metals really define That's a key word right there. Define the market. They're not going to let them do it. I'm long 26 and a halves and 27 calls. Oh, in silver. Okay, so then go sell the like the 28 and a halves. You know, sell the 20. Sell as many as you're long the or half. Sell twice as much of what you're long, right? So if you're long 3 of the 26 and a halves and 3 of the 27s, go sell 6 of like the 28s or 28 and a halves. No, I would say 28s or 28 and like 28s, right? And then go buy the 29s. Same amount, so you have the same equal amount of longs as you do shorts. And then if they turn this thing up into the 28s, and it ends up around there, everything's going to be pretty much decayed except for you're going to have in the monies. So it's kind of like, that binary thing is it can be, when you're waiting around. Now if we get into a weekly buy, then you can try to jump on that sucker, But right now, not worth waiting because I don't know about it. It could be well worth waiting. I mean, you're talking about March calls, so it shouldn't be too bad. But the problem is that it fell down from the 26 area, so you're taking some on the chin there down to 23. So you might even want to expand the size of it. Add more to the 26s or something like that. Probably go after the 24s. If we can get into a weekly buy, it probably means to readjust it all. That's probably the answer, I still think that it has the potential to find itself into the 26s and 27s, maybe as high as 28. I don't think, usually it's the holidays and, for Asia, India, and then obviously the Western world for the Christmas season that pushes metal prices up a little bit more. But the Federal Reserve is going to make sure that it is not going to wag the dog. In other words, basically the metals complex is the tail. Yeah, I can imagine. And we talked about that. I was concerned about that. I was concerned that this was going to be more short-lived again. I didn't expect them to take it down to 23 or 22.80. But I remember, I was like, they're gonna fleetingly explode, have an offer out there, and then from there sell some. I kept on saying, sell some calls against it, turn it into a binary, and then you would, that's the answer to it all, really. Indeed, that's what options are. We were goofing off yesterday, and a couple of friends of mine, and we stopped off. Someone was spraying a field. One of these Cargill type of companies. They were spraying someone's field, for winterizing it, and preparing. So the 12-month crop that they grow like a 3-year crop, and so what they do is they spray everything that kills all the bad stuff that bothers the root plant. And then the root plant itself is healthy from it. And we were talking about that. And now, why did I bring that conversation up? How did it relate to gold and silver? I know. I was talking about how I said to the guy, I says, he was young kid, and I said to him, he was like the manager, and the guy was running the machine, the $500,000, John Deere out there. 100 foot wide. Can you imagine that? 100 feet wide. What is that? 40 centimeters wide? I don't know. And so in the end result is that I said to him that people got to stop trading like it's 1977. They got to start trading like it's 2021, using options correctly. Using binaries correctly. That type of thing. And I got into that conversation. Then I gave him Chicago Quant website. Told him to tune into Dukascopy if he has time. So, anyway, that's where we are with that. Let's see, where did we leave off? So yes, look at that. That's what, the silver? Yeah, that's the silver. So there's a good chance that we are seeing a reverse head and shoulders again. And this one could be the bigger one, and maybe it'll bring us up into the 28s. But we need a weekly buy. Now, this thing's got to get into that weekly buy. Would be nice just to get into a daily buy. Honestly. How long have we been in this daily sell now? What's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is the 10th day. And, you know, we fell from the 25.5, 26 area. You know, we over that 10-day period. Hey, at least you locked in some win at one point. That was a good thing, you know. All right, and you bought time. Put the two together, you know, opens the doorway for more opportunity for you. That's for sure. You don't even have to invest any more equity. You can basically hedge some of that equity you have already invested by turning it into a binary structure. All right, where do we go from here? Let's see. Oh yes, let's look at that's the metals. Let's jump over to the energies. See what the energies are up to. So we saw Jan oil. It got up to almost what 60. What's the high? 69.49. We are trying to turn up in here. I was surprised about nat gas this morning. Look at nat gas. They were knocking it back down again. I was a little surprised. We're at the lows. Let's give it a refresh, but really surprised that they were taking it down. Yeah. And you know the weekly's still in its weekly, coming down from the $6.50 area, and now we're at the $4.50 area. So that's a pretty major move. You know, a 33% drop like that. All right. After all that yakking, one more sip of tea, gang. One more sip of tea. All right. I just finished off the tea. We're done the tea. All right. Now, let's see where we at. Oh, heating oil. Let's take a look at heating oil. Right there, January heating oil, which was also in a drift. You know, weekly sell up in here in the 245 area, 250 area maybe? Yeah, 245.50 area. And let's give that a little spin there. There we go. Boy, is that sloppy looking. So it goes into a sell here, and it's a winner chicken dinner. And then it goes into that little buy thing, and then goes back into a sell right there. Another winner chicken dinner. You know, remember, we only take the sells because we're in weekly sells, unless you're trading options or binaries, and that's okay because you're already what your risk is. You know, you won't get stopped out. So, and then from there, you can see the little bounce, and then this wackadoodle Friday, the holiday thing, and it's a winner, but boy, it's squeezing the daylights out of you, And then look how flatlined it is on the weekly. So the energy complex is pretty much telling us that they're trying to bottom, but they have not bottomed. Indeed. What should we call today's webinar? I'm just thinking out loud. We're going to go over to Stock Indices next, but I'm trying to think, what should we call today's webinar? What was the major theme of today's webinar? A responsible Fed? Let's see. That could be, definitely a good way of looking at this whole thing. It is a responsible Fed. Yeah, I'm just trying to think if anybody has an opinion on what we talked about here. We could talk about the euro. We did talk about the euro and the difference between euro, British pound, and Swiss. Who's the leader? We could do that one. That's pretty cool too. I like that one. That might be the best of them all. I think that's the... I like that. I think that could be the title today. All right. Silver has buyers. Interesting. All right, what's left of this to look at? Let's look at the stock indices. They are lifting because they feel comfortable. There is the Tech 100. Let me put it up on Dukascopy here. Right there. See, we're flirting with a daily buy, and the weekly, which was starting to challenge the zero line, has given up on that and is starting to firm up. Let's see, who else? Then over here, you can see the same thing going on in J4X right there. And then over here we'll go with the S&P 500 next, right there. Again, showing firmness right there. We're waiting for the green to start kicking out, but you can see the white line moving up. There it is. Got a little red dot in there again. How about that? And it was playing with the daily buy, so let's give it a refresh. There we go. A little red dot is going, and you can see just by the hair of its chinny chin, it's back through the zero line again. Then from there we go over to the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Let's try that mouse. That might work better. There we go. Where are you? Right there. Now that one's a little bit sloppier. You can see definitely looking clean, but we've got a red and we had a red and a green. That's why the green line is a day over. Let's try reloading that. Yeah, it's still holding that red dot there. And we're in the weekly sell. There's the zero line right there. So we've been in the weekly sell for a couple weeks now. It was definitely the best of the leaders out of it all. Compared to, talking about the idea of, who's the leader, between Euro and GBP and Swiss. Well, there's no doubt about it. The same situation is kicking out with that. It's the Dow Jones Industrial Average definitely reflected all this action. It definitely did. Okay. Now, let's take a look at the last of our indices, that week one. We posted something about that yesterday, and that is the Russell 2000. It was very funny. The Russell, we were looking through things. I guess I was doing it. What's today? Wednesday, right? So this is Hump Day. I think I was doing it on Monday. We were looking at them all, and I realized that the daily sell right there, and I talked about this yesterday. The daily sell yesterday. Yesterday I talked about this. The all-time high is the daily sell back on the 8th. So we posted that, and it went into the daily sell and never came out. And it's flirting now. It's trying. Let's put it that way. You can see it right there. It's not jumping into a daily buy yet, but you can see a little bounce coming out of it at the moment. But that is something, when you really think about it, is that the daily sell is the all-time high. And so I thought that was well worth talking about and reflecting, And that is pretty much what really caught our eyes yesterday and made me think, So, what else can we say about any of these? Ooh, what do we got? We got a ding. Let's see what the ding says. So, there's the 4 indices. Now, you know what I was thinking is, let's just run back to that short-term chart on cable. And then what we'll do is we'll end there. Because I do love looking at that intraday stuff. You know, I really do. Let's see, where's the mouse at? Activate. Now, let's put the let's see, let's go with the ticks. And let's put the 396 in there and see what it's showing compared to when we looked at it about 35-40 minutes ago. So it went into that sell with this action there, remember? Let's see where we at now. Yeah, that was there. It was right there. It went into the sell, was showing that weakness. Let's fix this. Format, and scaling, and screen. There we are. So you can see it. And you can see right there. We went into the sell right there, and it rolled over, you know, a little. No, not bad. You know, it rolled over. That's the difference when you're looking at a spatial time frame versus a fixed time frame. Right there. Just thought that we just end it with that. And look at it. It's doing that little bouncy thing right now, and you can see the line turning up here, RSI and fast stochastic. You see our work trying to get into a literal buy right there. What we got? 184 ticks to go. You can see it over there on the right side of the screen. You see that? Yeah, you can see that right there. Right there. All right, traders. Just thought we'd end it that way. I think that's a good way of looking at it, you know, for you to see the difference. Happy trails to you until we meet again, which will be Thursday, tomorrow. Happy trails to you, to all our trading friends at Dukascopy and Chicago Quant and Planet Earth. Ta-ta for now, traders.